Celtics Beat is brought to you by Prize Picks.
Hey everybody, welcome in. It is Celtics Beat, of course, here on the CLNS Media Network. Always appreciate when you find us on the CLNS YouTube page, specifically the All Access page, or via audio download, rate, review. Most importantly, subscribe. We are joined by one of our favorites. Always grateful for him taking the time when he does so, especially to begin a 4-game West Coast trip. The MVP of the 1981 NBA Finals, a man who has the Cedric Maxwell podcast, a longtime broadcaster, of course, on the Celtics Radio Network and occasionally on television as well. The one, the only, Cedric Maxwell. Max, how are you, buddy?
I am doing fine, gentlemen. Just happy to be with you. I know it's 10 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock where you're at, and it's 7:30, I think, something like that. We're 3 hours behind you. So happy to be on with you right now from San Francisco.
Well, and after a long day of travel, and I was just in San Francisco for the Super Bowl for a little over a week. And so, yeah, we're probably overlapping some of those spots.
Is it painful, though, downtown? San Francisco has just, oh, my God.
It's not. I mean,
I haven't been here years, and everything on the main street, I think it's a market or whatever the name of the street here, is just gone. They had a huge mall that was downtown. It's closed down. All these stores, it looked like abandoned buildings down. It was just sad being down here. We're at the Four Seasons, so great hotel, but you step outside the hotel. The guy told me, be back in before 9 o'clock, buddy. He said, be back in. I don't care how tall and big you are, but be back in.
You're not kidding, man. When I was out there, and again, I was out there a little over a week, and the nature of Super Bowl week for anyone that has not had the opportunity to cover one of those or to, go out and spend that week and do all the fan stuff is you're kind of burning the candle on both ends. You're working hard during the day, you're going out to parties and stuff like that at night. And the thing about, San Francisco is it's such in terms of where everything is, the city is so spread out. And so we were staying over off of 7th and a little bit further west than you necessarily want to go at night when you're walking around, to your point. And there was there was one night where a couple of the guys that I was, we were hanging out and they like, all right, we're gonna go off to a bar and grab a couple of drinks. And this is maybe, I don't know, 10 o'clock at night. We had dinner, went out to Chinatown, and I said, I'm going to go back to the hotel for a little bit. I'm going to park it for a little, and maybe I'll meet you out. Gets to be about 11:30. I'm thinking, okay, I'm ready to rally. It's like an 8-minute walk to the bar or something like that, Max. And I just I stepped outside and I went,
nah,
I think I'm going to stay behind. I'm going to hang at the hotel. I don't feel like I need to make this walk by myself right now.
There was a look that was probably very smart on your part. It was telling me that I guess it was a football player that was here that got robbed, 49er that got shot in the chest, almost died.
Oh, Pierre White, right?
Yeah, it was somebody.
Former Patriot.
So it's just kind of crazy. But we're here in San Francisco, and beginning this four-game road trip, a tough one. This stretch is really tough. San Francisco. LA Lakers, LA Fakers. Then you go from that, you go to Phoenix, and then you end up in Denver. And then I think we come back home, and I think we have Milwaukee. So it's an 8-game stretch of 8 games here, which is a stretch, which I think is going to be one of the toughest of the season.
Not just that, Max. If the Celtics are going to play into the, as we like to refer to it, the Phil Jackson 40-20 rule, Boston can't afford a loss in its next 5. Has to go 5-0. Before losing a 20th game to be considered a viable contender based on what history tells us in the modern era.
Well, I guess that's possible, but I think that what we're looking at is the bigger fish to fry right now. What happens if Jayson Tatum comes back? I think that, let's cut to the chase because I think that if Jayson Tatum is going to come back, you moved around a couple of people. You got Vooch, I think, is a good big who's going to help you in the post. But if Tatum's coming back, it has to be in some place between 15 and 20 games to acclimate himself to the speed of the game. And so it's getting close around that area. We got this end of this month, and then you got all of March, and then you got that small part of April. So
you're at 54 right now.
Sometimes in those first couple of weeks, that first week of March is going to have to be the Tatum on deck.
So maybe that's where we start with the Tatum stuff. We can do a lot of. I do want to look back on All-Star Weekend and talk to you about some of that much later in the show. But in terms of, like you said,
why do we have to look?
I'll take there. I have thoughts, Max. I have thoughts. That's why we'll get into that stuff. Okay. But you're right, Jayson Tatum. There's no bigger story as it relates to the Celtics, maybe in the NBA right now, than just all the theater that surrounds Tatum. First you have that game against Philly on March 1st, moved into primetime on Peacock. And then we find out, of course, Peacock, NBC, same thing, that Tatum has this deal now with NBC with this weekly release, this documentary, this 5-parter. Part 1 just dropped, chronicling his comeback. And everyone now believes that things are orchestrated, that this is...
Where is Bigfoot? Where's Bigfoot?
What do you think of all this, though? What do you think of all this?
I think I don't know. I think it's going to be depending on if he's healthy or not. But I think that you still look at it as when Jayson Tatum is coming back, are they moving games around so he could come back at this? He's going to have to be healthy. And I talked to Brad Stevens about this. And I talked to one of the team doctors. He said his legs, his Achilles now is healed. But and I asked him, so what's the difference? He said, it's the muscle in the leg. He said the strength in the leg. That's what has to happen. And now that he's starting to play in some of these games and playing with the G League and doing some of these other things, I think that he's gonna show improvement. This is what I say, and this is me. Jayson Tatum isn't afraid, but he's apprehensive. And what I mean by that, I remember me coming off an injury, and I'm no Jayson Tatum. I'm not an all-star, all these other things that go along with it. But when you're a guy who you get hurt, you want to come back. He wants to come back as Jayson Tatum. What he's going to find out is there are going to be some stumbles and there are going to be some trips along the way until he starts to feel like himself again. Some of the things you're going to try to do, you might not be able to do right away, but that stuff will come. The sooner he gets on that horse again, I think the better off he's going to be. So that's my take on it, as long as he's healthy. But, I know for a fact that when I played and I was hurt, I came back and there was doubt in my mind, like, okay, can I do what I did before? And then when I got traded and when I first got hurt and came back, I felt nothing in my leg at all because I was rushed back. In Tatum's case, he's not being rushed back, but in his mind, he's going to have to jump over that psychological hurdle of getting on the floor, maybe even getting some failures, but then eventually he's going to build it up step by step and get back to where he wants to be.
Do you think that'll take about 15 to 20 games? I mean, given the fact that you're getting ready for what is a different type of basketball in the postseason, it's a little more physical. You have teams that plan for you all the time. They can kind of work on things and tweak things. My biggest point has always been it's hard to bring a guy back for the hardest type of basketball at the end of the season. 15 to 20 games, is that a good enough sample size to get you feeling good about yourself again, you think?
Yeah, I think it is. I don't think you could do it with 5 or 6 or whatever it is. That doesn't help you. But if you can get 20 games under your belt, then you start to get the routine. You start to get acclimated. I look at him as a player, too, and understand that as much as he is with the Boston Celtics, a lot of it isn't he's with the Boston Celtics. Because until you get into that line of fire, till you get on the floor playing with your teammates, doing all those little things. We can like, hey, remember when I elbowed that guy and I did this and I did that? And I watched how you came off that pick and I set the back pick and I cut and you didn't see. Those things have to happen. He's not in that right now. He's looking at that game and going, wow, Jalen's playing really well. Man, I don't. And he said a couple of things. I don't want to come back and upset the apple cart. But if you're going to win a championship, he has to understand that he has to be on that apple cart. He's that damn apple that's going to take them to that next level if they're going to get there.
So even before we get to this, let's just yes or no. Is Jayson Tatum playing again this year? Do you believe that we will see him?
Yes.
Okay. So we're all in line with that. There are still some skeptics out there, but all three of us, we believe he is going to play, regardless of the when. And we can do what's the date on your bingo card and all of that stuff. I've mentioned March 4th has been the one that I've been chasing all season long that I've had circled. We'll see if it actually happens. But he comes back, has hopefully enough time for the ramp up, and all of a sudden come playoff time, everybody is on the same page. There's a buildup, though, to getting on that page without a training camp, without a preseason, without, truly meaningless games, all of these things, as you alluded to. I think apprehension's the right word for it, because I wonder, and as you said, he has come out and said this stuff himself, whether with the media, Pivot podcast, through reports, he wonders kind of how it fits. How does it work where he doesn't totally know or trust his body, and you have Jaylen having a career year? In terms of making this work, is the onus more on Jaylen? Is it more on Jayson? Is it more on Joe and the coaching staff?
I think everybody's going to have a part of this. The doctors, the medical staff, the fans, the media, himself, his mom, all of his fans, because everybody's going to have an expectation of who he is and what he's going to be able to do. The doctors are going to be seeing it one way, going, wow, well, their fans are going to be like, I want to see Jayson Tatum do what he did before. Might not be able to do that right away. His teammates are going to have to understand, hey, we want to get this guy back in, but at the same time, we're in a flow, and we have to play the kind of game that's helping us win basketball games. So there's a lot of combinations that are going to have to come into play for him to get back to where he's at. And I believe he really will. But again, I think that's the word I will use. I know he's not afraid, but as an athlete, he's apprehensive about what he can do and when he's going to be able to do what he wants to do. He said it, I want to be Jayson Tatum again. And it's going to take you a little time to be Jayson Tatum, coming off an injury like that. I don't think you're just going to jump back on the floor and go, 100 miles an hour. And how many minutes are the Celtics on line to play? Is it going to be 15? Is it going to be 10? What's going to be the ramp up? What's going to be the first game when he steps on the floor? What's that going to be like? I mean, the roof is going to blow off the place when he steps on the floor the first time. I can't even imagine what his stomach's going. I hope he doesn't have any kind of like tacos or beans. He'll have something brown going down his leg, because it is going to be a nervous time for everybody out there.
The Paul Pierce wheelchair.
Oh my God, it's going to be unbelievable. I can't even imagine. I remember stepping back on the floor for the first time when I came off an injury, and I knew what the fans wanted. I knew what I wanted to do, but my body said, no. I remember Brent Musburger asked me a question. I played a game against Detroit, and I might have had about 22 points. And he came to me after the game. They bought me out, and they said, well, Max, you're back. And I was saying, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I didn't feel I was back. I want to know how he's going to feel, because, again, we're completely different. When I talk about Jayson Tatum, who he is, but as an athlete, we're on the same page when we talk about coming back and be a little apprehensive about what you can do, when you can do, and how you can do it.
How can that guy, that Tatum that you're describing, who isn't full strength Tatum, the one that we don't know what he's going to look like, the one that is apprehensive, the one that might be in his head a little bit and he's trying to figure out his body, how can that guy still help these Celtics win?
Trying not to do too much, trying not to take over games, doing what his natural ability. What is he great at doing right now? He can be a great facilitator. He can probably still be a great scorer. But the thing that they need a lot of is maybe rebounding in basketball, because there are times when they have not rebounded well, and he's a big-time rebounder. So there are a lot of things that he can bring to the table that other guys on this team can't. His vision to be a passer. So I see him. I see these things happening, but I think it's going to be building blocks.
One of the things that's been kind of like a interesting talking point lately is kind of the vulnerability of Tatum sharing some of the things that's been going on in his head. He's had a couple of quotes that have popped out about, he doesn't want to screw the team up, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of people this week, gave him a little bit of flack for, I guess, having a documentary series come out before he plays. Some people say, do we really need this type of content? Do we want this type of content? I'll tell you, I do. I care for the guy because I've watched him since he was 18 years old to now. I care about him. Kaufman, you care about this kind of stuff. We're a little bit different. What do you make of this? What do you make of a guy having a 5-part documentary series come out before he starts to play? Is this something where you say, like, maybe we're oversharing, or it's like, hey, man, look, there's people getting ready to cut you a check to have this access, and this is just taking advantage of the business?
It's taking advantage of the business, but at the same time, I don't think I would want to have that spotlight on me. It's already going to be there, but you want to magnify it that much more? I remember looking at, and I just glimpsed it. I was doing something else, but the All-Star game came on. And then they were doing a doc on Tatum. I was like, damn, I mean, this is the All-Star game, and we're talking about Jayson Tatum coming back. That, to me, that's who he is, the essence of who he is in this league and what he means to this team and what he means to the NBA. You can't do a lot of documentaries on a lot of guys after they're coming back from injury. I mean, what happened to those other two guys we talk about that that are
Halliburton and Lillard?
Yeah, have we heard? What have we heard about them at all?
Dame still got his 3-point shot.
I mean, but we haven't really heard that much about either one of those guys.
No.
But Tatum has filled the airways because he's an MVP type player. And man, what a storybook it would be if he's able to come back. And if he can be Tatum at 80%, man, boy, it takes you. I was talking to Ricky Mahorn, who is the broadcaster for the Detroit Pistons.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "You know what, Max? That's one of the things that makes me afraid. Tatum coming back and being who Tatum is right now. Right now, I'm okay with playing the Celtics, but if Tatum comes back and he's close to where he's at, boy, that puts them above or online right now with what Detroit is able to do."
Maybe I'm wrong. By all means, disagree. I don't think that Tatum is doing this documentary that people are out there complaining about, those who are anyway. And I could, like, Ev, you said, like, you care about him and you want to watch it and you want this content. I care about him, like you said. I didn't watch part 1 of this 5-part doc. I don't care. I don't need it in my life. I'm rooting him on. I want to see him back. I don't need the extra stuff. Like, just put in your time, work hard, bust your ass. Can't wait to see you on the floor. That's what I care about. I'm not consuming every little piece of Tatum content, every interview, the pivot pot. Like, I don't need it all. I got enough going on in my life that I don't need to absorb all that is surrounding.
We don't need Cardi B. We're not bringing Cardi B in.
I don't need it all. I don't need it all. But all of that said, Max, I don't think, knowing Tatum as we do, or any athlete, quite frankly, in his position, I don't think you agree to do this 5-part documentary if you think there's a chance you're not coming back.
Oh, yeah.
He's not building up to, oh, what a great story, see you next year.
The approach for advertisers is definitely, he's coming back. And I know they're banking on it. I'm sure they've talked to doctors, they've talked to Tatum, and they have an idea of what they want. Now, I don't know if you will get it. I always say this, people in hell want ice water. Don't mean they're going to get it. But this is one of the things that I'm sure by putting their money into this documentary, they're not doing it just to say, well, there's Jayson Tatum right now on the bench in street clothes. They want to have this story and they want to sell this product. So I believe that is happening. It's a little something. I mean, what Evan is saying about, I want to see this stuff and, I'm feeling this way about it. I'm kind of on your page, but for me, there's enough spotlight on me already. I don't need to turn the damn bulbs up to damn 200 right now. I mean, there's people want about 60. They're on right 60. 200 a little bit too much for me. So for me personally, that's what I'll say. But for him, he's a shrewd young man who's a businessman, and he's going to before he walks away from this game, he's going to be over $1 billion. So he's taking advantage of an opportunity that probably wouldn't have been there. If he's healthy right now, are you trying to run a documentary on Tatum at all? So I think he's taking advantage of maybe what's there.
And by the way, like have you been around him at all, like in recent months? Like
I've seen him. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I have not. So I'm judging this off of videos that we see on social media and that type of thing. He looks bigger. Yeah, like he looks like he's taking this opportunity to not only work to get his Achilles leg right, but he's been working on the upper body. Like he just looks bigger than he did the last time we saw him.
It was scary because I remember walking up to him the other day and looking at him, and here I am at 6'8", but I felt like I was looking up at this dude, and it's like I'm going to be looking you eye to eye, and, bulk to bulk. I'm not the muscle thing, but he does look bigger. It looks like he's been working out. His trainer Nick, who has been around him all the time, has had him, and the thing that Tatum mentioned over and over again, he said, I haven't worked 6 days out of 7 ever since then to say I'm not going to come back. So I think that when he kind of threw that flag in and messed the world up a little bit when he said, I'm not really sure. I think again that's nerves, and not afraid, but just apprehensive about looking at your teammate Brown playing the way he has this year, looking at this team who have been overachievers. We'll all agree with that this year.
Oh yeah.
I remember one thing coming out of the tunnel for the first game, and Joe Mazulla said to me, Max, we're going to muck this thing up. And what he meant, he's going to have these guys playing hard. But did anybody have them with this record right now? Did any of us see this? After the first 3 games when they lost, were we all saying, well, April 15th or whenever it is, we out of here?
I feel like most people, even in their, wildest dreams, had them in the 45, 48 wins.
Yeah.
Never mind. I mean, this is looking like a 50-win team. It should be a 50-win team. Yeah. And I mean, what was their win total? I'm trying to remember. It was 40.5 or 41.5, something like that. It was, people were expecting a ballpark 500 team. Yeah. So yeah, what they're doing has been incredible. And I in your conversations with Brad, and like you said, you talked about the leg and the muscle and the most important parts and all of these things. And there are just so many hoops to jump through. There are so many, T's you got to cross, dots, I's you got to dot, all this stuff it drives me crazy listening to all the conversation, Max, that exists on your traditional sports radio, TV coverage of, well, you can't rush him back. You can't, it's not even worth mouth breathing about that. There's no universe that's happening. He's not being rushed back. He's going to get medically cleared. There's no risk of re-injury. The doctors are going to be fearing when they say he can come back.
Stop that. You don't know. Nobody knows what can happen, to anybody when you talk about an injury. That's why they call injuries.
Of course.
That's why people say they're going out. Why do you go out and get car insurance? Not because you're saying I'm going to have a wreck tomorrow, but you said I need car insurance. I got car insurance. Make you get car insurance. Jayson Tatum and then talking to Brad, this is my conversation. We didn't talk about the strength in his leg. I've talked to some of the doctors about that. Only thing that Brad and I talked about was just the fact that he has to be healthy.
Right.
They want to see him healthy. So I'm not putting anything out that Brad said, no. What Brad has said is he has to be healthy and to come back. I remember him saying, it was so funny. We were talking about Simons before Simons got traded. And me and Brad was just sitting there. Brad said, boy, he's done everything you could ask him to do. And boy, he has really worked hard. And then the next day he was traded. I was like, damn. It's like
Cold business.
So it is a business. And then I talked to Brad about it. We laughed because he said one of the most distasteful things I've had to do. And I think, and I always remember that the whole thing with Marcus Smart.
Sure.
When Brad, and I said, boy, that was ballsy. I remember when, Marcus got married and Brad had traded him, and Brad ended up showing up at the wedding. I'm like, damn, you got some balls, brother. You really got a set of them. But I think that Brad's always been forthcoming and honest. He is not, he's not braggadocious. He's very cautious in what he says. He's very, very measured in how he's coming with this thing. I don't think he's painting a picture that Jayson Tatum is going to step on the floor and all of a sudden be Superman. What he wants Jayson Tatum to do is come back, very much like I'm saying right now. There are hurdles to be crossed, and you're not going to cross those hurdles until you play against some, not taken away from the G League guys, but until you play against those first stringers that are on all these NBA teams who are going to want to test you from the time you get out there. Because I remember when I was hurt, I swear to God, it looked like the guy looked right at my leg and said, oh, that's the leg right there? Okay, I'm going right at your left leg. So there are people going to test them and find out where it's at.
I would say quickly before, if we have to jump off this, but the one thing that Joe Mazulla can be very helpful in getting Tatum's confidence back to where it needs to be for him to be a pretty serviceable player here. I pushed this year's going to be the year we find out about Joe Mazulla, if he's really a special coach or if he's just some guy.
And I'm waiting for this one. This ought to be good. I've never heard, how can Joe make him be in that? Because nobody can do it except
part of a coach is connecting with your players, right? And finding ways to make them to be more successful by telling them things or putting them in certain situations, right? Isn't that part of being
you can talk to a guy all you want to, but until he steps out on that floor, I just hard for me to see how Joe can actually put him in a position of succeeding without him not being confident. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not one of those things where I'm gonna put you in right now, Tatum. I'm gonna let you play against the second tier guys, and you are able to score 10 points against those guys. He's gonna have him in the line of fire, and he's gonna have to decide when to take him out, because we know, what happens when a horse breaks his leg? When those horses break the leg, they always say, "Well, let's go back and let's mend that leg up and let's do something to it," and that it never works.
Yeah, usually they become glue.
All those horses, all the horses think, hey, nothing wrong with my leg. I should be able to, and they break it again. I'm not saying he's going to break his leg again or do anything like that, but I don't think anybody understands how that pressure is on a top shelf athlete when he is coming back from an injury, and especially when he's never had to deal with one before. Never.
I think where Ev was going anyway is that Joe just sort of seems like one of those master motivators, we used to always, we've probably done it with you too. Like we used to joke around when Brad was coaching, refer to him as a life coach. Joe very much seems in that same vein, that, in the same way that you go back to the off season, Tatum has to go through this. And Joe says, gets to go through this. His perspective on life and obstacles and trying situations and everything. It feels like Joe is the kind of guy that can get your head to a place that it needs to be, maybe faster than some other coaches.
Let me tell you, give you a glimpse of Joe. It was last year in the playoffs. And Joe asked me, he said, I want you to come in and talk to my players. I came in, talked during them, one of their sessions. And that was during the playoffs when then they lost to the Knicks that very next night. Joe looked at me the next day and said, well, you'll never be talking to my players again. So Joe is going to try whatever he can to motivate his players, to put them in a position. I think that's going to be the toughest thing, because the player has to have wrapped his head around what he can do. And I remember saying, gosh, I know what I want to do. I know how I feel. I know when I came back, I couldn't do it. Physically, I couldn't do it because I was rushed back. Tatum has not been rushed back. If Tatum wanted to sit out the entire year, I don't think any of us would have said, oh, okay, he'll be back next year. But he's worked to get himself in a position to come back this year. And we should all applaud that, but we all should make sure that we understand there are going to be stepping stones that a player has to cross. I mean, I don't know, who has kids between you guys?
Hand up.
All right, you have kids. You remember them first couple of steps your child took? Like, damn, he's really, oh, shit, he fell. Oh, yeah, he's doing it. Oh, gosh. Hold your bottle. He drops it. It's just like watching your child progress.
Sure.
To the point where you're like, oh, wow. Wow, he's really a human being. He's doing some things right now on his own, and it's really cool to see. That's going to be the stepping stones that Tatum's going to have to get through. Can you imagine the first shot he takes? What's our promotion right now? Who's our promoter
Prize
right
picks?
now? Prize picks.
Yeah.
Can you put some of him missing the rim? Is that with his first shot? I'd be willing to put someone from 15. It's going to 18. He might not even touch it. He's gonna be so jacked up. That first shot. That might be one of the things. Prize picks.
Yeah, I hope it's a layup.
Does Tatum make his first shot? That would be one of those things I think Prize Picks should look at.
How tired are you at this point? Because it's gone on for years, but the fact that it's going on right now where every little thing is interpreted, insinuated, Jaylen Brown puts out the tweet applauding the success of where they are as a team right now in comparison to where they were at the All-Star break last year. And that's derived as a shot at Tatum. Tatum puts out a tweet talking about how proud he is of himself and his comeback. And that's viewed as, by some, as mockery of the Jaylen tweet, a shot at Jaylen. People are hell-bent on pitting these two against one another. And it's got to drive you nuts, especially as someone who's so close to it.
Yeah, it really does. When you think about who the two players are, they want the best for each other. And I thought we had put that behind us when they won the championship. And one talked about the other. They both were like, okay, I couldn't have done it without him. He couldn't have done it. It was really cool to see. But now that Tatum has been out and Brown has become a all NBA player, none of us saw that. We saw him being he was a top 10 or 12, player. But did we think that Brown is going to be one of the top 5 MVP when they start chanting his name? We didn't see that. And for the regular season. So Brown has gone up this huge mountain. And the thing that we looked at, we were thinking, could Brown carry this team without Tatum? And he's accepted that challenge and he's there. But I am like you. I'm tired. I'm tired of all the stuff about it and trying to read things in that these guys don't like each other. And this guy made a tweet about this, and Jaylen Brown said, "Oh my God, I'm having the best season. This is one of my favorite seasons. Although you won the championship, but his success has been so much. Maybe he's just being proud of the fact that Wright is developed and Pritchard is developed and Hugo and all these other guys you have on your team right now have gotten you to be one of the upper echelon teams in the NBA when none of us really believed that was going to happen this year."
Yeah, it's been remarkable. The Jaylen season is like the best version of Jaylen I think we've ever gotten, and it's been for longer than we've ever gotten it. Like sometimes with Jaylen, he'd have these really amazing out of body experience games, but then he'd come crashing down. The best part about this season for Jaylen, in my opinion, two things. One, the consistency's been there from the first game of the year till now. And like the stuff that he at least takes pride on the defensive end. Like, I don't know if he's the best two-way player in the league, but I appreciate the fact that he talks about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's gone up against guys. Look what he did with Kawhi Leonard, who is really right now back. And Kawhi Leonard, he went in and destroyed Kawhi Leonard in his building, dropped 50 on him, and guarded him at the same time. He wants to take these challenges of being a defender. No, even look what even when he was playing against Luka in the finals, he took some of the steam out of Luka with some of the steals he made in the backcourt, pressuring him all over the floor, doing all these little things, and made Luka look, like one of the guys out on the street. And he was just that effective against him. So there's so many things about Brown that I love about this year, but I'm just so amped up about that first time that Eddie goes in and says Jason, and now Jayson Tatum from Duke. Obviously Jayson Tatum has to be announced last, right? In that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, assuming he's starting, I don't think it's crazy to think he could come off the bench at the beginning.
You're not going to do that. You're not going to do that to him. You're not bringing him off the bench. Once you warm, as a player like that, once you warm up,
that's a good point.
You put him in the game. You start the game. You don't bring him off the bench and all this other stuff. No, you start him from the beginning of the game.
Well, then, his name is last.
Yeah.
There's if for no other reason than the reaction.
Okay. It's going to be fascinating that night. I mean, and if NBC and Peacock and all these things are coming together, it's gonna be fireworks. It's gonna be fireworks.
Let's take a quick break. Today's show is powered by Prize Picks. Shoot your shot on Prize Picks. Get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. That's right. Prize Picks now giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up. Play your first for only $5. Prize Picks makes every dunk, every dime, every board that much more exciting. So don't miss this chance to get started, Ev, on America's #1 app for sports picks.
Yeah, Prize Picks, simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. You get your picks right and cash in. Really that simple. Anything from basketball, baseball, hockey, UFC, soccer, college basketball, tennis, golf, esports, the Olympics going on now, all of it available on Prize Picks. Kaufman, you'll never guess what happened last week. I hit 2 out of 3 once again.
Money back, baby.
Flex play. Give me my money back. This is an unbelievable run. I cannot believe this. So I just want to call it Jackson Hayes being terrible at the dunk contest. That was the easiest call of all time.
We're going to get there.
What I do want to bring up, my flex play for this week, James Harden, less than 33 points, rebounds, and assists against the Nets. Now, you're going to say the Nets are a bad team. I'm going to tell you that Cleveland's going to be up by so much, he's not going to play a lot. So I'm going to take that. Jalen Johnson, more than 22.5 points versus the Sixers. I don't think the Sixers have ever had a wing stopper like in the last 12 years. So I like Jalen Johnson there. And then we're going to go Alperen Şengün, more than 8.5 rebounds versus the Hornets. I can only name 2 guys on the Hornets that collect rebounds, and Şengün's the best rebounder of the 3. So that's my flex play for the week. As you guys all know, I hit all 3. I 3x my money. 2 out of 3, I get my money back, and that's a win. That's a win for me. And you can cash out as easy as Venmo or your bank account, whatever. It gets to your account quickly in 15 minutes or less. It's the best way to have fun with sports this year. Definitely Prize.
Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS. You get $50 in lineups after playing your first $5 lineup. Again, download the Prize Picks app. Do it right after you listen to this show. Heck, do it while you're listening. The promo code CLNS. You get $50 in lineups after playing your first for only $5. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. We're hanging out here with Cedric Maxwell. Max, we've been talking about Jalen, talking about Jayson, and, one thing we haven't really talked about on this show, because there's been a lot of just kind of living in the moment with all of this, of the Tatum comeback and how does he look if and when that happens and what's the ramp up like. And we can talk about postseason threats and that sort of thing if we have time or if we feel like it. You know, there's plenty of time to do it, obviously, as we still sit here just a little bit past Valentine's Day. And the adjusting next to Brown. I want to take this for the sake of this conversation. I want to take this to next year when Tatum is completely right. He's, you know, had a training camp and a preseason and everything is as it should be. And you have Tatum and you have Brown, you have your Batman and Robin or 1A, 1B or whatever it is. This season is going to have a lingering effect on Jaylen Brown. You would think, you would hope in a good way in terms of the confidence in what he has been able to do and go out and have this career year that he has had. He's going to be first team all NBA if nothing, you know, goes haywire. He's going to be, like you said, a top 5 MVP vote getter, all of that. This isn't I want to make this abundantly clear to anyone watching or listening. This is not Jaylen versus Jayson. This is simply human nature, this question. How is Jaylen going to react, do you think, to sliding back into the role that existed for years prior to this injury, to where he was the leader, was his offense, he was center stage, and even if you have, you know, your co-ones and all that, we still know at the end of the day it's Tatum's team. How does this look? How does this feel for Jaylen Brown at that point?
Well, I can tell you this. 1981, Finals MVP, Cedric Maxwell. Wasn't Larry Bird. Now, do I have to take a step back when it came to, you know, Larry Bird coming back, me knowing it's his team? How did that have to happen? As a player, you understand that it's all about winning. And if you're caught up into who does what, who makes what, all these other things, then you're in the wrong game. That if you're Jaylen Brown, and it is human nature to say, wow, you know, I was the man. Now Tatum's back. Tatum's the man? Wait a minute. I'm still the man. But I understood. Like, okay, I was the man for a minute. And then all of a sudden, Larry Bird comes back. He didn't really score as many points. I did. But I still know in my mind where this team still hangs his hat. I think that it's different in the fact that those two guys, so we're talking about Brown and Tatum, both those guys are going to be Hall of Famers. If they're healthy, both those guys are going to be Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
Cedric Maxwell wasn't going to be a Hall of Famer, but Larry Bird was going to be a Hall of Famer. It's a different mindset when you think about those two guys and where they stand as players. And if Jaylen is the person, if Jaylen is the person that we think he is, he doesn't, that noise doesn't bother him. The noise only bothers you when you start to lose. So if they can come back and they're winning, I think it crushes everything out there. Now, if they come back and they start losing and the fans and the media and everybody else starts swirling things around, then it becomes different. So I think a lot has to do with them winning basketball games and how they finish this year. Who knows? Hell, they could come back and surprise you, be in the finals. Hell, if they're healthy, hell, they could win it. But I don't even think in prize picks or anything in anybody's imagination that we were thinking like my daughter, though. My daughter, God bless her soul, she has it like this. She has some pick right now that the Celtics beat OKC in the finals, and she has $5,000. So,
I love that.
So I don't think at the beginning of the year, I don't think nobody really thought that. It was like, oh well, that was thrown away money, but it's alive now. It's like Frankenstein, the movie. He's alive. He's alive. So yeah, I think that is such a cool thing of where they're at right now. So human nature, jealousy comes into play when you think about it. But I didn't see jealousy when Brown was the Finals MVP. What I saw on the podium was one guy acknowledging the other guy for winning his first championship, or vice versa. And they couldn't have done it without each other. So that's what I truly believe at the end of the day.
Everyone take this to the team. Should we get off of Tatum and Brown?
So what's that?
I'm just, they've done a lot of winning, these guys, and I'm, the proof's in the pudding. I think Max is right when he says, if they win games, nobody's going to care, and they've done a lot of that. So use that as your guiding light.
You think about those guys right now. How many times has Tatum been in the finals, or guys who were in the NBA never got to the finals, who didn't get close to the Eastern Conference Finals? I mean, you think of Charles Barkley got there, as great as he was, didn't win it. Patrick Ewing didn't win it. Patrick Ewing got there one time. What was it? I remember the great Dan Marino. Was his first year ever playing in Miami. He got to the Super Bowl.
Never got back.
And never got back again.
Here's hoping Drake May isn't on that same path.
I always wondered if we could avoid that, but I guess not. So I think that when you think about those guys, they have their shelf life, their productivity has been so good that we just take it for granted. And we took it for granted this year that without Tatum, they won't go in no place. We're thinking right now, everybody was hoping right now. I remember for a while, and I don't know if I talked to you guys early in the season, but somebody was saying the Celtics should tank this year. They should really tank. And I think it is two things happen. It's Joe Mazulla, what he's done for this team. And it's also Brad, what he's given Joe to work with. Did we think Hugo was going to be as good as he is? Did we think Sharman was going to be, doing what he's doing as a starter? We saw Pritchard as a sixth man. We're going, okay, sixth man. But now you got to be a starter. Did we think he'd be there? I mean, you even look at this season, Derek White hasn't had a good season, he's had a good season, but he hadn't had a great season.
Sure.
Did we think that this team would be where they're at right now if Derek White wasn't having a great season? He's done a lot of all those other things, but Derek White hasn't shot like he had, in those couple of years when people were saying that Derek White should have been an all-star. So it's this team to me is a contrast. When I look at them, I'm like, man, they shouldn't be that good, but damn, they are. And they're fun to watch because they get out and they bust their ass every night. And now that Booch has come in, and everybody said, did you ever think that we were going to get that much from Keita in the beginning of the year? I think we were saying going into the beginning of the year, the Celtics have Keita going in. And okay, well, wait a minute, hold on, we got Keita. He's had a fantastic year.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys that Walsh has come in and start playing well. So it seemed like everything that Joe Mazulla has touched essentially kind of turned to gold.
Well, which is why the guy is absolutely in the Coach of the Year conversation, and I hope he wins it. He has been incredible. All right, in the interest of time, because I know you've been traveling all day, and we don't want to keep you forever. Let's revert back to the very beginning of the show. I said I wanted to talk about some All-Star stuff. You said why, and I think that's an appropriate response. That's kind of what the mid-season classic or whatever we want to call All-Star Weekend has kind of become. Which, by the way, All-Star Weekend, my ass. Saturday, Sunday, these teams don't play again until Thursday. Like, I don't know why we need to stretch this stuff out the way that we have more and more over the years. But I think the games on Sunday generally worked. I think they're going to run back that format. You had 3 competitive games, game winners across all of them, and then obviously the blowout in the championship, which fine, that happens. There are all sorts of, I know a lot of the players just said, like, why can't it just be East versus West, and make it simple again. So they still want something different. All-Star Saturday, I truly do believe, Max, is fixable. I still believe it's fixable. The 3-point contest is the 3-point contest. It's good. It's fun. It's entertaining. I still think, and I talked about this on the show last week, even though I bet on Dame to win, I still thought it was kind of ridiculous that he was participating, because I just feel like it's kind of a slight on, like, you could have found another active player that could have played in the thing. But I think that feeds into kind of what I'm talking about. If the NBA, according to this report from Front Office Sports, I think had it, that if the NBA is sort of soliciting new ideas for how to make All-Star Saturday more interesting, someone on our text thread mentioned, why don't you have a whoever wants to participate, and this would be a good place for Dame, previous 3-point contest winners, retired or otherwise, come on back. You can play in a 3-point contest. We'll celebrate some, anyone who, I don't know that Larry's going to go out and do it, maybe some more recent guys, but that could be fun. People would certainly watch it. You could do, and I know it's been talked about over the years, you could do some sort of a horse competition. That would probably honestly be better than the dunk contest, because even though the dunk contest is a flagship, I mean, this was rock bottom this year, not only in terms of name recognition, but performance. These dunks, and I say this in a relative sense because it's not like I can do any of this, but compared to what you would tend to expect in a dunk contest, this was trash. And I have been on this for years, Max. Like, can't we just lean into it at this point and do like an N1 mixtape, Globetrotter, whoever? Like, just get some of the best street baller athletes in the world and have them come out, put on a show, do the dunk contest. You'll have Giannis and Pierce and all these guys sitting courtside with their cameras taking video, oohing and on, and like, it'd be entertaining. And then at least we don't have to pretend that Mac McClung and guys like that are NBA players. You know what I mean? Like, let's just stop doing that. Nobody knows who Carter Bryant is or Keishad Johnson or any of these. And you've heard of Jackson Hayes. Congrats. He did a transition dunk in the NBA dunk contest. It's embarrassing. There are ways to fix this. And if it bugs me, a fan, this much, I can only imagine how you, a former player and a successful one at that, feel about it.
It is, it's become, the NBA All-Star game has its own life now. And it isn't really about the game anymore. Although I think Sunday kind of helped it out a little bit with the competition, the way the games were played. But the life of my own, what I mean by it, is more celebrities show up at those games. The fact that you have, all these people, Kevin Hart, coming in promoting this game, that Snoop is, that all, it's become just a fashion show. It isn't about the basketball anymore. Hell, do we think that the Harlem Globetrotters are the greatest team ever to play? No, we don't. But they're entertaining. And part of that, maybe that's one of the things that might be would help out. Bringing some of these guys in that I've seen going, oh my God, this guy did some dunk where he went behind and hit it. And but he was like, it's YouTube stuff. So Should we get the best YouTuber and let him come in and let the players? I think that's an idea. I mean, my thought was for a while when the last game I saw, the game I saw was 210 to 201 or what, that game sucked to me. I wanted to say, why don't we just bring some of the WNBA players in, combine them with the NBA players and let them play in these games? Because one thing we know, the women are not going to give a damn. They're going to play hard all the time. And the guys are not going to want to get embarrassed. I think that you could even add something to that would make it what it was. But the All-Star game, the weekend, is taking a life of its own. And can you fix the slam dunk without having LeBron in it? You ain't going to do it. Can you fix it with the spider not being? I mean, guys who are great dunkers right now in the NBA, Giannis, none of these guys are going to do it. So I think that you might have to do that. That you should maybe just lean in on some of the best dunkers around, and they could be street ball legends, and you could sell that maybe even more so than having Jackson Hayes going there doing the traditional dunk. Hell, why don't you have Cedric Maxwell jump off one, do like Lucky, jump off one of the trampolines and dunk it?
I'd pay to see that. I'd watch that.
I would too. I would pay to see that. So I think that, I think you have a point there, but the life of the game, the NBA is trying to tweak it. But what people like is the people who are showing up after the Super Bowl. The baseball players show up. I remember when I had a party one time before, all these people came. This when they had it in Charlotte. Evander Holyfield was there. This guy was there. That guy was there. Boomer Esiason was. It was all these people who came for the All-Star weekend. And I don't think there's another All-Star weekend like that. Maybe, baseball kind of has something really going right now with the home run derby and all that stuff. But look what happened with the NFL. What did they do? What did they do right now with theirs? They don't.
A flag football game on a Tuesday.
So I mean, in that vein, they might as well. They might as well.
Knows it happens.
I mean, they might as well go out and let my ex-wife run out there and grab a flag or something. I mean, it just looks that. I'd be more interested in seeing her out there trying to grab a flag than I'm seeing some of these great players who said they're not going to tackle each other. It's tackle football. Reggie White, the great Reggie White, said something to me one time. I did a podcast, did a show with him in Charlotte. And one of the things he said to me, and we were talking about sports in general. And I was like, and he was talking about some of the NFL players who were holding on. And I said, damn, Reggie, why did they hold on? And I remember he said to me, he called me Corns. He said, Corns, let me tell you what. He said, you can always go out and play basketball, even after you retire. Once you stop tackling, you ain't never going back to playing this again. So you have to stay in the moment. And I think that a lot of these guys stay in the moment. But to me, the NFL, that their whole weekend, I don't even, did anybody even sponsor that? I mean, where did they have it this year? Was it in Vegas? One time it was in Hawaii. Now it's in Vegas. Hell, next year we're going to have Indianapolis. Where's it going to be? I mean, it's just crazy.
It doesn't make any sense.
Max, before we let you go, and I've been back at the ping pong ball in my head has been paddling around because I've been debating whether I was going to bring this up a second straight show, because YouTube commenters responded about how I expected them to, even though this wasn't my idea. But I just feel like you're going to have such a great take on it that I need to ask it.
Okay.
Are you buckle up, Ev says. Did you see the Nick Wright take about how to fix the All-Star game?
I did not see it. What did he say?
Nick Wright had a take on the Bill Simmons podcast.
Okay.
He said, it's not PC, but if you really want to fix the All-Star game, blacks against whites. He said they'll be motivated. Everyone's going to be playing for pride. I promise you're going to get defense. And his point was, maybe not today, but in a few years, because Kneppel's a rookie, obviously, let him grow into his game a little bit. Cooper Flagg.
Let me make sure I get this straight. You said white players against black players. Is that what he wants to go back to?
That's correct.
This is after Jesse Jackson just passed away, and we're going with. And really, he actually said this on.
Actually said it.
This is the same time. This is the same atmosphere that Donald Trump went out and had pictures of Michelle Obama and President Barack Obama as apes, and then they went and tried to say, "Well, this is part of the Lion King." And the guy somebody said they didn't have any apes in the Lion King. He said it wasn't in there. So whatever it wasn't in the Lion King. So I don't know. Oh God.
Really,
I heard Nick say a lot of things, crazy things.
Yeah,
that might be one of the stupidest things I've ever heard them say. That you have white players against black players. The interest level might be high, but God, you can't be that PC.
The ratings would be through the roof, Max. Obviously, it's a terrible idea. But let me ask you this, because this was really the point he was drilling down on. Kneppel, Flagg, Luka, Jokic, obviously, Sabonis, Hero, Bogdanovic.
Come on now.
The question is, would the game be competitive?
That you're going to put all the best black players on one team.
Correct.
All the best white players on one team. And it's so indignant. It's so indignant. I can't even answer it because it's just it just seems like it's beneath me. Like when you talk about that, I mean, because hell, here I was. I played with the great Larry Bird.
Sure.
And my ignorance at that time was I didn't think white guys could play. My thing in college, I used to do it with my college coach all the time, my assistant coach. We'd be going over the chalkboard, and I was the center for the team. When I was at UNC Charlotte, he'd going, this guy, he was the center for the other team. He can do this, he can do that, and he can do this. And I'd always raise my hand. I said, he's like, what do you want? I said, is he white or black? He goes, what difference does it make? I said, all I asked you was a question. And I just said it so I could piss him off. But then once I got to the league, I played with John Havlicek. I played with Dave Cowens. But for me, they were older guys.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, why did I have to be the first, with my ignorance, why did I have to be the first one to be there to challenge Larry Bird? What a spectacle. I still look at myself now thinking how ignorant it was for me to even think like that. And I remember him walking out on the floor, and Larry has this, he said this, and I've said it before, everybody who's been there before, we were at Hellenic College. I was up on the podium, and Larry walks in, and I have a crowd around me because I'm the man right now. I'm averaging about 20 and 10, and Larry Bird walks in, I'm like this. Great white hope. Here we go. Here we go. Say, this fucking guy. He can't help me. He can't help me. What is he gonna do? I remember the first play, go out and I scored easy because I'm a scorer at that time, so it was easy. But remember, Larry scored on me. I was like, oh shit. Okay, well, that was luck. That was luck. Second shot. Damn, third, fourth, fifth. Got about the 8th or 9th shot he done made. And I remember after practice walking over to the first black person I could see. And I said, you know what? Y'all can beep this all you want to. But I said, you know what? That fucking white guy can play over there. so that was my ignorance. So, I mean, it's a hell of a statement to make. And it would be a hell of a scenario to put it in your mind to say that. Could the best white players beat the best black players in a NBA game? It's I don't know. It's mind blowing to hear that Nick even said that. It's just crazy. I don't even know how do people respond to that?
I mean, I probably not favorably. Again,
in this Trump era, you're gonna go like that.
Well, I mean, if ever there were a time that something like that could happen, it would be in Trump's America, right?
Be on the White House lawn.
You know what?
Right after UFC 250 or whatever it is.
What was it? It was the John F. Kennedy Center, and all of a sudden it was a Donald Trump and John F. Kennedy Center. That supposedly.
That's right.
Donald Trump held back some money right now. He wanted to say, if you name the airport in New York after me, then I'll give you $2 billion.
Don't forget, he wanted to rename the Commanders facility after him. He wanted, is it still FedEx Field? That he wanted to make it, like Trump Stadium or Trump Field, or I don't even know.
So I wouldn't even want to for Nick to put that out there. It is so bizarre.
I'll send you the clip. I'll text it to you.
It is so indignant. I just want to know what the hell they said when they're on that show, because it's you know what? I'll say it like this. It's stupidly fascinating what he said.
There you go. That's right on.
Stupidly fascinating.
I think that's dead on.
Let's go like that. Stupidly fascinating. Because,
see, that's why I hesitated to even bring it up, but I knew you'd have a great response to it.
It is stupidly fascinating, because one thing you think about, who's the best player right now in the league?
I still think it's Jokic.
Okay, it's Jokic. Jokic is the best player. Where is Luka with that? Is Luka someplace in the top whatever?
Yeah, he's
I mean,
top 6, 7. Yeah.
Here's the thing about it right now. In the NBA, you can feel that. You can feel enough white players to maybe compete like that. During my particular era, you couldn't. You had Rick Barry and I don't know, Larry Bird, and you didn't have enough to even feel a team. I could think of maybe 6 or 7 guys. That was it.
Well, but the reason for that, I mean, think about the guys that we're naming. We're naming Europeans.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. Well, you think about who's going to be, but I think that's what's going to be fascinating about the Olympics is the fact that who's going to be the best, not white player, but who's going to be the best American players who are going to be left by the time the Olympics go get around. Is Ant Edwards, has he gone to the top of the mountain right now? Because we know what the big Frenchman's going to do. The thing I talked to somebody before, I've heard of, I didn't see Chamberlain as much. Chamberlain changed the way the game was played. The other person after that who changed the way the game played was Steph Curry. The next person right now looks like it could be Wembanyama, because he is that hit. He could shut you down defensively almost all night if he wanted to.
But
he shoots the 3.
How can he change the way? Like Steph can change the way the game is played, not because there are other shooters of his ability, but because you can stretch everybody out. You can, from a young age, get people to work on becoming 3-point shooters. And you can stylistically change the league to become more of a 3-point shooting league, as has obviously happened. You can't, there's nobody else that does what Wemby does.
Well, we're looking at all these other. It's fascinating when I start looking at all these other guys. I'm not sure where they're getting them from, but I'm starting to see guys 7'7", 7'8", 7'9" who are playing the game. There's some kid I just saw the other day on YouTube who's 7'5", who's 16 years old. So we don't know what could be coming down the path, but what we know right now is the way Wemby plays the game. He is changing the game completely, because how do you guard him? Is he guardable anymore?
7-footer with these 7'6" with guard skills and legit can shoot and can cover everybody.
And then what does he do on the defensive end?
Block everything. You can't even get layups. You can't even take it in transition because you think he's fine.
I mean, we're looking at guys now. He's toying out there with guys.
Has he had a quadruple double yet? It's gonna happen.
He's gonna get it. Well, look, he's blocking shots right now, not even getting off the floor. He's just like so we look at him right now. He is the alien. He's that next thing that we look at, and I don't know how the rules are going to change with him, but I remember, I think it was Anthony Davis said that. He said, maybe we need to have a league right now where it's 7-footers and nothing above, like they do over in the Philippines, 6'5" and under. He said, because he said that Wembanyama is just that good. And what happens when he gets in his second year and his third year? What happens when he puts on about 10 or 15 pounds of muscle? Is it even going to be fair?
No.
So I think that's what I would give you. That's what I would give your guy. That would be my answer to him. Yeah, fascinatingly stupid, but just fascinating.
So you can watch it when we're done here. I'm sending you the clip right now.
Okay.
And I look forward to your thoughts on it.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, it's insane. Max, we always enjoy talking to you. And that, by the way, is one of you somewhere, I think it was Ev, alluded to this as well. And I should have mentioned this in the same way that the Unrivaled League is doing this, these one-on-one competitions within their off-season league. That's another thing. One-on-one at the NBA All-Star. And Jaylen Brown talked about it.
No.
You don't want to see that?
No.
I do, but they won't do it.
No, I don't want to see that because they had that before. They had that when Kareem and Dr. J was playing, and Kareem just backed them down, and laid it up every time. That doesn't appeal to me. That 3-point. It will appeal maybe a little bit more now to me if you have a Steph Curry out there, because now guys are trying to shoot threes, and you look at some of the stuff that goes on. I even look at the competition right now. What's the other league? The Big Three. The physicality that goes in that game with the Big Three, man. I'm loving that. I mean, I even like the little scuffle that they had in Charlotte when they had the Pistons and going back and forth.
Coming off the bench.
Yeah, that to me is some good lively stuff. So
Where does Big Stu rank on like guys that you'd want to see coming off the bench in a skirmish like that? Is he like way up there, guys you don't want to see come off the bench?
He would be like that if you were, because I'm fascinated with all these nature shows. He would be like, they hippopotamus. They kill more people than lions and tigers because they're just mean and ornery. He reminds me of a big hippo. When he comes off, he's just flying and he's coming at you. So Beef Stew has his own place, but for 7 games, for you to suspend him, that's a lot. That's a lot considering this, gentlemen. If that was a hockey fight, what would you get for that fight?
5 minutes.
There's my stupid take right now. There's my stupid take. Why the hell are we giving somebody all these damn penalties when we look at a hockey fight and the same thing breaks out and you don't even go to the penalty. I don't even know if you go to the penalty box. It's okay, guys, we're good. Let's go on. Because some of the fighting, some of the physicality of the game, to me, I would love to see it because it would shut some of these guys' mouths who think they're tough. Like, okay.
Mazulla loves it. He's all about it.
Loves it.
Oh,
see the grin on his face when that Providence fight broke out?
Oh,
he was in his glory. It was like he was ringside.
Joe was. Something happened one time when Tatum got mad, and I said this before to you guys. I said when the Celtics weren't going to win the championship until you had a mean Tatum or a mean Brown. What have we had over the last couple of years? A mean Tatum and a mean Brown. You can't have your best players be the nicest guys on your team. Your best players have to be assholes sometimes. And that's when the Celtics won. So, yeah, I like that kind of stuff. So, if Joe, if it was Joe's world, Joe would be happy that if it was a little scuffle and all that stuff. I understand what the NBA is saying about the violence things, but I still can't fathom why they let them fight in hockey. And we're okay with that. And don't tell me it's the nature of the game. Don't tell me they're on skates. Don't tell me all that. Just tell me, why is it okay? Watch this. Here we go, Nick. Why is it okay for white guys to fight and black guys?
Yeah, I was gonna go there.
Here we go. Here we go, Nick. You want to take my take on something? Nick, here we go. You send that to Nick real quick to see what Nick might say about that.
I
why
will.
Is it okay? Why is it okay?
We'll get a social going. We'll figure it out.
Why is we gonna send something back to this guy who said this about the black hole? Why is it okay?
I love the show and I love this man. Cedric Maxwell.
Riddle me this, Batman.
Check out the Cedric Maxwell podcast. Check out his books. There are multiple now. And of course, check him out on the airwaves.
I have Robert Parrish is coming on with me pretty soon because we're going to talk about his new book.
I saw that. I saw him.
He has a new book coming out. He's promoting his book. He's coming back to Boston. So I'm probably going to go out to see him, but I'm also going to have him on the podcast. We're going to talk about a bunch of Celtic things, some of his likes and some of his dislikes. So yeah, we'll cross some of those borders.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. I have to get out to one of those signings, which Chief did tweet out. He's going to be posting where and when some of those book signings in the Boston area are going to be coming with that book, which drops here very soon to the general public. So you could pre-order it, get on it. Again, Cedric Maxwell. Check out the Cedric Maxwell podcast. Listen to him alongside Sean Grandy on the radio waves. And of course, a good friend of this program here, Celtics Beat. You can find his podcast on the CLNS Media YouTube page, the All Access page where you can find us and other shows as well. Max, we always appreciate it, sir. Enjoy the second half, but we'll be talking again soon.
All right, gentlemen. Have a good one.
For Max, for Ev, I'm Adam. We will talk to you again next time right here on Celtics Beat.